So following up from my previous video where I take over from Kevin Feige and create a new MCU after Secret Wars, I've decided to make a dedicated video for that Wolverine Disney Plus TV show I briefly mentioned in it. If you haven't watched that video, I'd love for you to check it out. But for a quick recap, I would like an R-rated Disney Plus TV show of Wolverine where we follow him throughout history, and up until the end where it leads into the second X-Men movie. Now in my previous video, I mentioned the rules we're following for this all new or different universe, specifically that we're being realistic. Wolverine, much like Spider-Man, is an attraction to viewers. On the Mount Rushmore of Marvel superheroes, he's up there, there's no question about it. Whether you like him or not, Logan as Wolverine will be used to bring in the audience to both Disney Plus and into the cinemas. Now, I'm using this show to start his arc, which won't really go for that long. It will finish in either Phase 2 or Phase 3, depending on the release of certain projects he's in, because I want to avoid making him the main character of the X-Men. This won't be Wolverine and the X-Men all over again, but he is a fan favorite and I imagine studio executives will want to push that. But I'm going to keep Cyclops as the main focus of the X-Men movies, so don't worry too much. And before we start, I am in no way a writer or a director and won't even pretend to try and do that myself, as in this hypothetical scenario I'm the president of Marvel Studios and my job is to hire the correct writers and directors for the job. So I'm only here to provide a general tone and give story beats that need to happen to form a coherent universe. Now each week, 2 episodes will release as I don't think one will be enough, and the story works better with 2 episode arcs. And since there will only be 6 episodes and not the usual 8, each episode needs to be between 50 minutes to an hour long in runtime, because there's going to be some episodes where we will be jamming in a lot. But if directed, written, and edited right, I think it can work and serve as a visual representation of Logan's fragmented mind and how he remembers things. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get started with Episode 1, Canada, 1880. This can start in a similar way to X-Men Origins, where we see him as a kid fleeing home after the tragedy that befalls the Howlett family. We don't need to spend a lot of time here, only set the stage for the first tragic event in Logan's life. While this does start in 1880, each episode will time skip a lot and back and forth here and there as Logan narrates the fragments of what he remembers. But essentially this episode needs to show Logan killing his biological father, fleeing his home, changing his name, and focusing on Logan's animalistic nature and sense of isolation. He can pick up a few jobs here and there as a miner or a worker in Canada, but it never works out, resulting in him either leaving or being cast out. This is the late 19th and early 20th century where drifters can easily roam the land and disappear from civilization. But eventually, Logan will get captured by Saul Creed, a circus entertainer that uses Logan as an attraction for amusement. And during this time, an English scientist comes to investigate this wild animal locked in a cage. And that scientist is none other than Nathaniel Essex, or better known as Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is a massive villain for the X-Men, and newer fans will probably know him from the X-Men 97 series, and I absolutely have plans to use him down the line. Essex will experiment on Logan, however he eventually kills both Essex and his previous captor, Saul Creed, and escapes again into the wild. Now the episode will end with Logan being the prey rather than the predator, as he has his first introduction to Sabretooth. Sabretooth tells Logan his name is Victor Creed and Saul was his brother, and as revenge, Sabretooth absolutely brutalizes Logan. He's never fought anything like this before. Obviously, the X-Men movies won't be R-rated, so I want to use other properties as a way to implement the graphic violence of Logan's lifestyle. Their fight is raw and visceral, and the more Sabretooth fights Logan, the more he realizes that he's special, just like him. After Sabretooth reveals his name, he admits he never actually cared for his brother and he's just annoyed that someone took away his plaything. And seeing Logan's abilities and ferocity, Sabretooth is excited he's found a much more exciting replacement. Seeing that he's outmatched, Logan jumps off a cliff and into a waterfall or something, with the Sabretooth vowing that this is not over. The episode ends with a bird's eye shot zooming out from Logan. Battered and torn apart, his healing factor barely keeping up with his wounds, he lays there as he floats in the blood-soaked water. Episode 2, France, 1916. In this episode, we can have Logan narrate how he and Sabretooth have had many conflicts throughout the years, as Sabretooth is an animal that kills innocents for his own pleasure, especially innocents that Logan gains somewhat of a connection to. We can have a reference or a funny little Easter egg of Sabretooth showing up every year for Logan's birthday. Petty characters are just so entertaining. So now Logan has made it his goal to end him, leading up to World War I in France. Now we could have an episode about their fights, but my explanation for cutting years ahead is because it won't do anything to develop each character, besides making them more experienced and battle-hardened. But this fight they have in France is the next big step in their rivalry. As I mentioned in my previous video, this is a reset universe with heroes spanning centuries throughout time. And I would like to show Logan seeing other characters in World War I. They don't even have to have big roles, and Logan doesn't even have to talk to them. But it's such a small world building technique that adds so much to fill in this universe. We could see a great-great-grandfather of Zemo or another iteration of Iron Fist. just anybody to flesh out this universe that spans decades and decades before the present day. Throughout the episode, Logan is hunting down Sabretooth on the battlefield and finds him killing soldiers no matter what army they fight for. He's simply doing it for the love of the game. When Logan finds his enemy, he begins tearing into him, and I mean absolutely tearing into him. While Sabretooth will get a few hits in during this fight, Logan is a much better fighter this time around. The long and bloody duel between the two will end with Logan doing something that makes him believe Sabretooth is dead or gone for good. Perhaps it mirrors the previous fight and Sabretooth falls into a chasm or is left near a bomb that explodes, making Logan think that he's been dealt with, or at least will learn his lesson on fighting him. And now he thinks he's finally at peace, but after all these years of hateful fighting, it's planted a rage in him that he can't really quell, not to mention the previous issues he had beforehand. As the war rages on around him, this leaves Logan at a bittersweet state as the episode comes to a close. Episode 3, Poland, 1942. Now, I contemplated about swapping Poland with Japan as it fits with Logan trying to find his inner peace, and a sensei can help him with that. However, I've decided to keep Poland taking place before Japan as it fits better with the story. Logan can narrate empathizing with the world and relating it to his own peace, going from World War I to World War II in the span of a couple of decades, and the episode can transition from him wearing the World War I military fatigues to World War II, trading in one uniform for another. But this time, he doesn't really have a clear goal. He's just trying to do the right thing and fighting for the Allies. And through this, he can form a strong friendship with the Howling Commandos, while also showing Captain America and Bucky fighting in the distance. We obviously can't have Captain America front and center as we haven't cast him yet, but having him there is important to flesh out both the world and establish that there's been a connection between Logan and Cap. But more importantly, this episode can serve as Logan fighting for something other than himself and for the bigger picture, hinting at his eventual place in the X-Men. But he's not quite there yet. He still has a lot of rage and aggression that he's gained over the years of torment by Sabretooth. In this episode, during an attack on an enemy base, Logan will get separated from the Allies and become a prisoner of war. He sees firsthand the atrocities of World War II through prison camps and horrendous torture the prisoners go through. Here he becomes a guardian for prisoners, but this will get him on the radar of the higher-ups, which results in him getting sedated and tested on by other scientists. More involuntary experiments on his mind and body. From here, he's sent to Japan to be experimented on by scientists, which is cut short when he escapes as the bombs fall upon Japan. Logan does everything he can to save other prisoners there, but the horror of the atomic bombs leaves him in shock. As the war ends and the world changes, so will Logan as we go into the next episode. Episode 4, Japan, 1946. This starts as Logan continues to help the Japanese people after the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and just the overall state of Japan after World War II. Continuing with his kind of guardian protector role he took while he was imprisoned, Logan roams Japan helping those in need. Not with violence, but with cleaning wreckage and helping communities build sustainable homes. And during his time here, he will come across a sensei who helps him find his inner peace and quell his rage, while also coming into conflict with the Hand. I want to use this to show Logan fighting a relentless enemy, but not in the way that he usually did. He's reserved and careful now, rather than a brutal animal focused on tearing his enemy apart. I also want to take note that he's using a sword and not his claws. He's trying to be a better man here. While training under this sensei, Logan will also allow himself to find love for the first time in Itsu and even get married. Although this does not end well, and while he's away, Itsu is killed seemingly by a botched house robbery by random street thugs. In the comics, it's revealed that the person who killed his wife is the Winter Soldier, and while that would be a cool avenue to explore, we have basically already done that already with Tony and Cap in Civil War, so while I'm not going to change it, it will be vague as to who killed her. Broken and enraged, Logan's claws come rushing out as he screams and the episode comes to an end. Episode 5, Madripoor, 1972. Big time jump here as we find Logan in Madripoor many years after the tragic death of his wife. Despite his tracking abilities, the trail of his wife's killer has gone cold and Logan has been lost ever since, up until the point where he finds himself in Madripoor, helping the unfortunate and lower people of the city against the local gang members and warlords. During this time, I would like Logan to have a working relationship with Mystique. I've been wanting to use her in this series and haven't really found a good place to put her in up until now, but I think it's important to include her because she's been around for a long time, longer than Logan himself, and I'd like to see them work together before they eventually meet again in the present day. But despite working with Mystique and Seraph, another person he meets, Logan is very distant. At this point he's been through a lot, both emotionally and physically. He isn't socially awkward and he's not hunting with animals anymore. He's reserved and silent, getting the job done no matter what, but keeping himself distant from forming a strong attachment to anyone or anything. And right now he's wondering what's next for Logan. He's lost, helping people much like this time in Japan, but this time using violence to take out the bad people. And I think Madripoor is a great setting for the Marvel universe. It was really cool when we saw it in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I would love to see it again. But at the end of the episode, Logan is overpowered by a giant figure. Get up, runt. As soon as Logan hears that, he becomes enraged and him and Sabretooth fight yet again, up until the point where Sabretooth tells Logan in great detail how much he enjoyed killing Itsu. This will obviously be a fake out, and he's only trying to get a reaction out of Logan, which he absolutely does. Logan is reserved, smart and tactical. Up until this point, he loses everything he's learned for the last 40 years and reverts back to his animalistic brutality. The same brutality that Logan had back in World War I. The same brutality that Sabretooth loves. And despite Sabretooth having both the physical and emotional advantage, Logan is still holding his own. But Sabretooth isn't alone this time. The fight ends when Logan is shot with a poison dart and falls unconscious. As the episode fades to black, Sabretooth is dragging Logan away while talking to someone. Which leads into the final episode, Episode 6. North America, 1980. In this final episode of the series, we find ourselves following Logan as a brainwashed member of a Team X, a covert team created by the CIA that is comprised of himself, Sabretooth, Maverick, Kestrel, and Omega Red. Omega Red is a different pick, but personally I just like him and I think he would be a good rival to Logan besides Sabretooth due to the brainwashing. But Sabretooth will still absolutely pick on Logan, it just won't be the other way around, or Logan won't really understand it or bite back. Omega Red also fits because of this era will be very Cold War themed. 1980s with the CIA investigating weapons that threaten the US is always such a fun setting. This Black Ops team going on covert missions with underlying politics will be interesting, as this team is also led by Romulus, a figure that has been looming in the background of Logan's recent years. Romulus is going to play a huge part in Logan's arc going forward as he wants Logan to be his perfect weapon, but I won't have him be the figurehead behind every tragedy in his life. I think that's a bit lame, but I want Romulus to be at the other end of Logan trying to fully unlock his memories and become free of his life of experimentation and control, especially during this time in Team X. I also don't want to fully redo his origin from the Hugh Jackman movies with Stryker, but do something similar, and I think Romulus will be a good fit here rather than a random scientist. Now, because Logan is brainwashed during this time, the narration can be foggy and even entirely wrong. He can say on one mission it was easy and there were no casualties, when what the audience sees is a bloody massacre, or even something as small as saying they infiltrated an enemy base by boat when actually they did it by plane. You can tell I'm getting a lot of these ideas from the Black Ops Cold War campaign. Half of the episode will focus on Team X and how Sabretooth happily serves the team as he bullies and torments Logan, until one day his hatred overcomes the brainwashing and he fights Sabretooth and retaliates. But after a brief fight, it's cut short and Logan is drugged and taken away, to where he's forced into the Weapon X program and gains the adamantium claws and skeleton. It's obvious the first brainwashing didn't work, so Romulus sets up another experiment to really dive into his brain and make him his personal weapon. We can basically follow the entire Weapon X story from here on out up until he escapes, where we can have Romulus say something about Logan escaping is actually a minor setback as they can use the research for the other two subjects. This will be a huge setup for the future. Eventually, after his escape, Logan finds something, whether it's a dog tag or even a picture of Team X, so he can do a reverse Victor in X-Men Origins where he tracks down the original members, trying to find Sabretooth. Which brings us to the end where we see Logan at the X-Mansion speaking to Charles Xavier. He's come to speak to Xavier because he's found out that Sabretooth has allied himself with Magneto and his Brotherhood of Mutants. And that'll do it. We've seen Logan as an enraged animal, serving soldier, honorable student, heroic mercenary, and brainwashed agent. All very important, yet different aspects that have all blended together to create the Wolverine in the present day. And this directly leads us into the X-Men sequel movie where we will see the X-Men fight against the Brotherhood of Mutants. With these notes, I'm sure a skilled showrunner can turn this Medusa of a plan into something really great. As I mentioned at the start, it may seem like Wolverine is getting a bit of a spotlight, but I would like to use the Disney Plus model as an opportunity to explore the history of this fan favorite character without taking up any space during a mainline X-Men movie. I'm still hard at work on phase 2 of the all new or different MCU, so be excited for that. And if you did watch that video, I just want to say thank you for your support. Even just clicking on it and giving me a chance is much appreciated. It's really boosted my morale and I'm trying my best to put out quality videos for all of you. If you have any thoughts and opinions, feel free to drop it down below. I may not respond to everybody, but I'm always reading them and the support is just staggering. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to join us as we explore whatever comes to my mind. And if you have already subscribed, then you guys are the real heroes. As always, thanks for watching.